What is going on, guys? Grave here. Today I'm going to kind of talk about my overview of Black Ops 3. You know, it's been almost a year since the game has been, from start to finish, and of course everybody's going to be moving on, of course, to Infinite Warfare, COD 4, and it doesn't mean people aren't going to play Black Ops 3, but, the player base in general will kind of drop down because of new COD game coming out, and that's how it is every year with COD. People move on to the next game. The thing that I'm going to start with about that I didn't like, or I did like, or whatnot. The first thing I want to say is, in general, I had a pretty good experience with the game. There was things that really, really frustrated me and kind of turned me off from the game at times. But the first thing I want to say is one thing I did like was the kind of the way they did competitive Call of Duty this year. I thought it was really interesting. In the past installments, to me, competitive COD kind of was like a game that was foreign to people. You watch it, and it was not like the game you played night in and night out. I like the way they did the pick and ban. I like that they left kill streaks in, so it made it feel more like a game that you play every day, so it was a lot more entertaining to watch. So I hope they keep that into going into other CODs. Now going into what my experience is with the game is, in general, matchmaking gameplay was very smooth. I know people don't like the jump packs and things like that, and yes, I agree. I'm more of a fan of boots on the ground style game. But I did like the speed of Black Ops 3. It felt a lot more fluid than Advanced Warfare, so I did enjoy that. I like the fast pace. I play at a faster pace, so I kind of enjoy that. But I understand why people like boots on the ground, because I'm with you. I prefer boots on the ground as well. Connection-wise, kind of like every other shooter I've ever played, guys. I've played some that are a lot worse, I can say that. Most games I've come to just accept. You're going to have games where people have 1 bar, 2 bars. You're never going to get rid of it. It's just until they completely redo their system and base everything on ping, or region, or whatever, and I don't think any game is ever going to do that. So I just kind of have learned to deal with it, but for the most part, I had smooth connection. I know a lot of people did not, but that's like that's just with my playing experience. I think the supply drops was a big no-no. That's one of my main gripes. I hated supply drops in Advanced Warfare. I only played Advanced Warfare. That was the least amount I've ever played any COD. I played that game for 10 to 15 days, and that was it. The RNG-based way the supply drops work, I just do not like. I don't care for RNG in any game, whether it be Destiny or an MMO or an RPG. I do not like it. I think it works better in MMOs or RPGs, but I just do not like it in shooters whatsoever, and I wish they would not do it. And, of course, it was not going to be that way. If you do not play the game from the start, when the game first came out, supply drops were going to be just cosmetic items, and, of course, as the game went on, we learned that it was going to be melee weapons and guns as well. I really hate they went back on their word, and I think that kind of put a sour taste in a lot of the community's mouth when they did that. I really, really do not like that they put the weapons in. I'm a firm believer is if you buy the game, buy the DLC, it should be like older CODs. You should be able to get the weapons just with the DLC when it comes out. You shouldn't have to go, just play and get luck or go spend hundreds to thousands of dollars, as some people did, on trying to get weapons. Because to me, I got all the melee weapons in the game just about. I don't use melee weapons. Never have I equipped a melee weapon in my loadout. I might pick one up off the ground and just play around with it when they first came out. I've only ever got one gun, and that was the M1, the Grand remake, and I got it 5 or 6 times. I know other people that got other guns 5 or 6 times. I know other people that got several different guns. But from my experience, it was just kind of goofy. But I know in general for everybody, whether you got a lot of guns out of luck or not, they really just didn't like the whole aspect of the RNG-based luck of the supply drop. So I know those were coming to or Infinite Warfare, excuse me. They were in Advanced Warfare. That was one reason I didn't like them. I do like that Infinite Warfare is going more with a style of you can play and just get salvage and make your own weapons crafting. I think all games should have crafting in it. If it's going to have an RNG-based luck system to get those weapons too, I think crafting should be there for people that just want to play and they can craft the weapons instead of having to get lucky. I think the game has gotten worse multiplayer-wise over time, matchmaking-wise, play-wise, and I think that is with every COD. I know some CODs have been worse in the past to me, like, after a DLC comes out, updates come out, bug fixes, nerfs, buffs, whatever. It seems like the multiplayer matchmaking gets worse, and then it might get a little better or worse. Like I said, some CODs to me before it just gets worse and worse and worse and never improves. Black Ops 3 was a little bit different. It kind of like would get worse, and of course, like every other game, they would come out with a fix for that matchmaking after they have done their update to try to fix the matchmaking and make it back to its normal state. So in the last several months, it was kind of flip-flop back and forth play-wise, whether it played smooth, played bad, matchmaking was good or bad or whatnot. But I think they do that with all COD games to me, and I've talked to many people that feel the same. Like, it's when things start getting later on in the cycle of the game, updates and DLC, it just seems like the matchmaking kind of goes downhill. and I hope they can get that fixed. I know it's been there for a long time. I really don't expect it to be fixed, but I hope they can figure out a way to work that out so it'll be the same experience matchmaking as it was when the game started. I think the futuristic aspect of it put a lot of strain on the community in general, because a lot of people don't like it. I know the same with Infinite Warfare is futuristic. A lot of people don't like that. Of course, these games were being made several years before we ever even heard about them. So the futuristic thing, even including Infinite Warfare, futuristic thing was a big thing. And a lot of people were into it and thought it would be this thing. And I'm sure the companies thought that it would be the way that shooters were going. And it's kind of not. You know, a lot of people have kind of got off the futuristic thing. I think in general, especially if Battlefield 1 does well, I think COD will go back to more of a boots on the ground, maybe after Infinite Warfare, or at least I'm hoping. But we'll see. But just what I'm saying is it put a bad taste in the community's mouth being futuristic. So from the start, from day one, even from the beta, a lot of people were already hating on the game, having problems with it. And everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I understand why. I just hate that it put so much of a strain on the community from the start. And last but not least, the thing I want to say is one experience I have had that I find kind of odd, I guess, is I played this game for right around 23 days. And like I said, I played Advanced Warfare from 10 to 15. That was definitely the least I've ever played any COD. But this game was right around 23 days. Most CODs, I play 30 days or more. And I know over the years, I used to play with lots of different people. We had a big group that played every night. And, of course, that does affect it. You know, now I play with fewer people, maybe play by myself. So that affects, you know, how much playtime I get, do more YouTube or whatnot. But I think in general, the reason I played less, I mean, the true honest opinion is just because of these things. Mainly supply drops, mainly just kind of the goofiness of maybe the specialists. I really didn't hate specialists. I didn't love specialists. But in general, I know that it kind of calls for some problems during gameplay at times. And I think those were really the main things, like I've talked about, why I kind of quit playing just off and on, and mainly with the connections from, you know, updates and things like that. And it seems like it gets worse than better. And it just kind of wishy-washy. In all, guys, I enjoyed the game, but there's some things that I really hope that they fix going into other Call of Duties. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought about Black Ops 3 yourself and what you think about the Call of Duty kind of experience going into the future. And, of course, if you'd like to hit the like. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.